What is up, world? Welcome back to another episode of Culture FC, the weekly soccer show where we talk all culturally relevant soccer topics. We talk fashion, lifestyle, music, politics, everything happening off the pitch, none of the stuff happening on it. My name's Alan, and I'm here joined by Louie and Brendan. And this week, we discussed diving and its impact on the sport of soccer. We talk about what we think about diving, our personal preferences, or what we think its impact is on the sport of soccer, whether it impacts players specifically, and if we think it should be stamped out at all. If you have any thoughts on diving, please let us know. Shoot us a DM on Instagram at culturef.c. Send us an email. Everything linked below. Comment on the video if you're watching this in video format. Just let us know what you think about diving, if you have any top ideas that contrast with what we think. You could also follow our clothing line at Treblwear, Treblwar, on Instagram as well. It's a clothing line started by the three of us, and it is soccer-inspired stuff. We hope you check it out, like some stuff, maybe buy a thing or two for yourself. And as a last ask, please leave us that 5-star review on iTunes, Google Play, or like the video, share it, whatever tickles your fancy. And that is it. That's enough of me asking you to do stuff for us. Let's get right into the episode. Environment. You're constantly varying.
Trying to switch it up for you, YouTube.
Yeah, nice and casual.
Yeah, casual summertime.
For those of you listening and not watching, we're not in our studio. Not that you would have known anyway. We're sitting in Brendan's living room. So just imagine what that might look like.
Very feng shui.
Yeah, tastefully decorated.
Is it feng shui or feng shui? 'Cause it's not spelled feng, I don't think.
No.
It's definitely feng shui,
Feng shui.
Feng shui.
but I think you
Ooh,
pronounce it feng shui.
Feng shui.
I don't know.
Lots
okay.
of green. Yeah, good air in here.
Yeah, lots of circulation.
Got
It's good.
plants.
Circulation of energies.
Yeah.
Yep.
The Zen is good. But okay, I'm starting it off. Notable news topic that came out. Zlatan Ibrahimovic. He tweeted out or he put it on Instagram, a challenge. Or not a challenge. Yeah, maybe a challenge. A challenge out to David Beckham. And what he said, I'm going to quote directly, is, "Yo, at David Beckham, if England wins, I buy you dinner wherever you want in the world. But if Sweden wins, you buy me whatever I want from IKEA, okay?" And this is in reference, obviously, to the England-Sweden match, which just happened. And David Beckham accepted the challenge. He said, "If Sweden win, I will personally take you to IKEA and buy you whatever you need for the new mansion in LA. But when England win, I want you to come watch a game at Wembley wearing an England shirt and enjoy some fish and chips at halftime." So, game just happened.
Are we going to break the rule?
Yeah, they're gonna. I mean,
Yeah.
it's so relevant.
Yeah, I guess.
And England won 2-0. So it looks like Zlatan will be going to Wembley.
we hope.
Yeah, I think he's a man of his word. I think he'll back up on it, and he's going to be enjoying some fish and chips.
Fish and
At
chips,
Wembley.
a little fee and cheap, bro.
Yeah.
With David Beckham
Oh.
at Wembley. Like, that sounds like a fun little date to me.
Yeah.
Damn, what I would give to be able to have the opportunity just to go and get fish and chips at halftime as opposed to shitty chicken nuggets and like frozen hamburgers.
What I would give to just hang out with David Beckham.
Yeah, that's too.
I follow David Beckham on Instagram, and his life now is just like this traveling around the world, eating like
Yeah, mad
weird
good
little
food.
stuff.
And then every now and then I'll just be like, "Oh, Miami soccer team coming soon." Like, "Oh, I'm doing something for this soccer team."
Yeah. He's just the coolest dude to ever walk. this
His
earth.
life is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
You were a phenomenal soccer player. You've won probably literally everything that you could possibly win as a player, to an extent, aside from a World Cup, of course,
Yeah.
or any like international competition. But like as a club player, he's won pretty much anything you could
Yeah.
ever want. And then you marry a Spice Girl, which is probably almost better than winning all of those titles.
Yeah.
And then you get your own soccer team in one of the up-and-coming leagues in the world, and you look like the way he does. He looks like a Greek god. So
seriously,
honestly, like, who
He
has a
can
better
pull
life
off-
than David
he can
Beckham?
Pull off any hairstyle. I've never
any
seen him
hairstyle.
pull off.
Never seen.
I've
a
never
bad one.
not seen him pull off. a
Exactly.
hairstyle.
He's had dreads. Or
Yeah.
dreadlocks. Like, not dreadlocks.
Cornrows.
Cornrows, sorry.
And
The
he
guy's had
even-
cornrows.
He's
Fucking
gone from
bossed it
that
out.
to like, and then shaving his head completely and still
Yep.
looking just fabulous.
To a mohawk, to a bald look, to like the banged look
Yeah.
that his wife made popular. Yeah,
Free,
he
like,
just
he
did it.
He's got it, man. He's got it going on.
Looking
But,
like a Super Saiyan every now and then.
yeah, that'd be cool. I mean, these are two like titans of world football. So just to see, I mean, I can't wait for that game to show, and then the cameras to pan at them and them eating, and something funny happens.
And they both have like really good personas too.
Yeah.
It's like not like they're just like famous people. They both have interesting like.
Did they play together?
That was my
Alright.
question. I was just waiting for you guys to finish. I'm trying to think if they played together at
Beckham
Milan.
played at PSG.
Oh, he did play. He retired at PSG and he played at Milan. And I
Right.
think
Oh,
Ibra might have been at.
did.
Let me
Hold on,
double check.
I can't think right now. I don't think they played at PSG together. I'm trying to think when.
No, I think he played together at PSG.
PSG, really?
Because it was that weird half season that Bex played at PSG.
Yeah, all I'm getting on Google is Zlatan and David Beckham fucking betting up.
So Zlatan played at Milan from 2010 to 2012, and then went to PSG until 2016. David Beckham, on the other hand, he went to Milan in 2010, and he went to PSG in 2013. So he actually caught Bex at both clubs.
Nice. Cool.
Or I'm sorry, he caught Zlatan at both clubs.
Cool.
It's kind of tight.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, so I guess
It's just cool to see how like the World Cup can bring like, okay, I get it, they're two famous guys or whatever, but it's the fact that the World Cup can kind of get them to do this fun little wager on the internet and have everybody kind of talk about it is pretty cool. Because in all honesty, nobody thought Sweden or England would be this far.
Nope.
Absolutely.
And I guess it's coming home.
It's coming home, boys. Coming home, lads.
Coming home, lads.
Yeah, right. Let's do it. Let's bring it home.
You got to say it's coming home, man.
Oh, it's coming home, bros. Another World Cup related news topic for you guys. Captain of the Nigerian team, John Obi Mikel, recently found out, or not recently found out, he knew while playing against Argentina that his dad had been kidnapped.
Yikes.
And was being held for ransom. And he found out before the game where he played against Argentina. And unfortunately, they did lose, breaking another rule. But I can't even not imagine just how crazy that must have been.
My gosh, man.
And just like he didn't like there's still some shady World Cup shit going on, you know.
Do we know why his dad was taken for ransom?
Well, I mean, I don't know. I feel like it makes sense because the guy's rich.
Does it make sense?
I mean, okay, if you
yeah, I guess it makes sense.
Well, if you're a criminal and I don't know, maybe he was in Nigeria, wherever he was. If you're a criminal and you have the ability to kidnap a famous guy's dad, why not have it be? Why not have it be the captain of the Nigerian national team the day that he's supposed to play to put more pressure on him to pay?
Yeah, I guess.
Because
that's
like
so ballsy of him to go out and play still. Not ball. It takes a lot of courage and or character to like still play at a world stage like that when you have something so huge happening in your life.
Yeah, like that's absurd to be able to go out there and like put on for your country knowing that your father literally is kidnapped and finding out, what'd you say, like a couple hours before the game maybe?
Yeah. And so there was a ransom of 10 million Nigerian naira, approximately 21,100 euros.
So
that's not much at all. Wow, so I called this kidnapper smart. I take it back.
Both the Papa Obi and his driver were later rescued almost a full week after their kidnapping.
Jesus.
Oh, a whole week.
Following a gun duel.
Yeah, that's crazy. Well,
it seems like a movie.
That seems like a very captain-like thing to do, though. It's like, my dad's kidnapped, I must play. It seems like something out of a movie.
Like, that must put, like, a lot of, it just shows a lot about John Obi Mikel's character. Like, that really does take a lot to be able to go out there and, like, still play, despite the fact that your father is literally kidnapped right now.
I feel like this is a little bit of a tangent. I feel like I've heard a story of, like, an African-based player whose family got kidnapped before as well. Is this something that happens? Like,
I don't know. Maybe.
I don't know. I don't know if I just made that up. I was wondering if I threw that idea out, you guys have heard it too. But apparently not. But okay, just disregard that. I guess that's not a real thing. But I swear I heard of another like African player whose family got kidnapped, and I think he played in the Premier League. I want to say Adebayor, but I don't also want to just make up a rumor about him. So that's it. I don't really have anything else to add. That's it.
Yeah, I don't know, but I mean, just rounding it off, I think it just shows a lot of character. He has some balls to go out there and still play.
I mean, I would for sure not have played in that game.
No way.
But I mean,
or I would have told
I'm sure
my
his
fucking
dad would
coach.
have wanted him. It depends on obviously. I'm sure his dad would have been like, "Come on, man, just keep doing what you're gonna do, whatever." But like my mental state would have just been like, "Fuck." Man.
He didn't tell his coach. He didn't tell his teammates. He didn't tell fucking anyone.
Really?
So no one knew.
That's even more
I
absurd.
would have at least told my fucking coach. Be like, "Yo, dude, if I play a little off today, like just find out my
Wow.
Found out my dad got kidnapped.
Trying to figure out what to do, but I gotta play
Jesus.
That's like full on, just like.
He said he didn't want to let 180 million people down.
Yeah, damn, that's fucking.
If he doesn't get a statue in Nigeria after that, like that's
freaking crazy.
I don't know. That's absurd.
Yeah.
But all right, moving on to our last topic. This one has literally nothing to do with the World Cup, but Nike FC just released their Spring/Summer 2018 launch. And for those of you who don't know what Nike FC is Nike's offshoot of a literally. It's essentially a clothing line inspired by soccer, and it was kind of the first one to ever really be like a lifestyle brand that was specifically designed around soccer, and it basically paved the way for all these other companies that we've always talked about, and as well as our own, because a lot of the ideas that the reason why we even think our clothing line was a possibility was because of Nike FC when they originally launched a few years ago. But since their initial launch, Nike FC had kind of gone a little quiet, and in that meantime, you had a lot of other brands pop up, especially here in the US and even overseas, and like we've already talked about, soccer kind of entered the mainstream fashion world. And so because of that, it's really cool to see Nike launching this new line of new items despite their absence for a little while, because it just shows how impactful soccer as fashion really is.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, and I still saw like a lot of players like Neymar and stuff still wearing a lot of Nike FC stuff, but not really seeing them put it out for regular folk to buy.
Yeah, no.
When this first came out, it was like super hyped because like it just showed kind of that whole thing of just culture and soccer, and Nike bringing that to the forefront was awesome at the time. Still is, obviously, because we've seen how much came out of it, kind of them being the leaders in that. But it's definitely cool. I like a lot of the styles that came out in the new launch. They kind of are sticking to that whole black and white theme still 2 years later. I would have maybe liked to see some more color, I think. Not too much creativity in it, but I think overall the ideas are good. But I guess from a standpoint of like if you're going just for what Nike FC is and their like colors for this fictional team, it makes sense, right? So I mean, I think the designs overall are pretty.
Well, what I like too is that they also pulled from some of their World Cup designs for their actual teams. Like they released a jersey top that on the sleeves it has like a pattern that's not exactly like the Nigeria jersey pattern, but it's pretty similar in a sense. Yeah. It's like that nice diagonal pattern on just the sleeves and kind of collar, while the main body of the shirt kind of stays, pretty subtle in white. But yeah, it's really cool that they're taking some inspiration from some of the things that they do day in and day out for clubs, but also like kind of bringing it into this lifestyle fashion brand that they created too.
Yeah, I definitely haven't seen it in a while, but it just goes to show where Nike believes soccer is going as they bring this back out again. Yeah. So that's exciting to see, because the World Cup hysteria, everyone loves soccer now, but we only hope that it can kind of keep bringing more and more stuff
yeah, I mean,
out.
that first launch could have been kind of the testing the water
type
of thing. And then now, I don't know, maybe they just didn't want to be the guys riding the wave, even though they kind of started the wave. But now coming back in it, it's just like, okay, we're giving this some longevity, giving this some proving that there is a basis to it.
Yeah, I mean, the other part that's kind of cool that does, I guess, tie into the World Cup is that they had players, Marco Asensio and Ousmane Dembele, be like kind of like the models for it, which I thought was really cool because, because back when they did the original Nike FC, they had Neymar as one of the big kind of proponents of it. So it's cool to see another group of young guys that they're kind of pulling in, and these two guys are potentially future superstars. So you know what I mean? Like that does help push this. I don't want to say an agenda, but like it pushes this message of like a lifestyle soccer brand forward. Right.
No, for sure.
But all right, guys, moving on to our main topic of today. We are discussing diving. As you guys have seen, most likely all across every media outlet, blaming Neymar for his theatrics and all these stats about how Neymar spent 14 minutes rolling around on the floor throughout the World Cup, and how all of these things. Basically, the idea was, let's kind of dive into diving, its impact on soccer, what we see as, is it a detriment to the game? Is it part of the game? And really just try and wrap our heads around it. So I kind of want to start off and basically ask a question. Is diving part of the game, or does it need to be stamped out 100%?
Throughout my entire career of playing soccer, diving has been a thing, and not necessarily from my personal game. I never was much of a diver, but for sure played with kids that were. And looking at it from a perspective of a player, it happens to you, but you also have people on your team that do it. It's annoying. But at the same time, it's also it's gaming the game, right? Yellow cards, free kicks, fouls, all these things are a part of the game, and they play a valuable contribution to the output, what happens in the game. So if you have a way that you could potentially simulate and kind of create more of what it is, and it potentially get someone a yellow card or red card or help your team out, I think it's hard to say that it'll ever be stamped out because of that. I think that people are always going to try to take advantage of something like that. I think theatrics, obviously there are some exaggerations, right? The Neymar stuff, especially the one that happened on the sideline, where I don't even remember the player who it was.
Was that where he rolled a bunch?
No, not even that one. I'm talking about the one where he was out of bounds and the guy
Miguel Ayun
tapped his ankle, and Neymar was kind of giving this whole thing my ankle's broken. That stuff's extra because I don't know. You're not going to get a foul for something that's happening off the field like that. You have a million bajillion cameras on you. You have VAR that can come back and watch that stuff, so they can take secondary measures to really see if a guy fouled you. So to that extent, I think it's a little ridiculous. I think that there is some theatrics to it, but I don't want to see this fucking Hollywood type theatrics to it. You get hit and it's something that you're I'm gonna fall to the ground and maybe cover my face, do some shit, grab my ankle, okay. But if it's he tapped me and a camera could see that he tapped me and I'm acting as if I just lost a leg, it's evident that you're going to get caught and nothing's really going to happen. So I think to that case, I don't know. I'm pretty impartial to diving. I think it happens, especially with the technology nowadays. It's almost just maybe you'll get away with it, but probably not. So I don't know. I'm not a big guy on get rid of diving. I think it's just let the refs do their job, and especially with the technology available, it's probably going to get done correctly.
I am 100% against diving.
Yeah.
I'm one of those dudes that's get the fuck out of here diving.
Yeah.
I just think it takes away from even bringing the physicality of soccer into the game, because it is a physical sport. Being able to box someone out of a ball, getting a corner kick, that should be good to do. But I mean, then you have instances where there is a scrum like that and some guy fucking dives through, it's going to stop the play. And
right.
That thing, I don't know, it just it slows the game down. 14 minutes is a fucking lot of a pretty good amount of time, for a whole World Cup.
Yeah.
You wouldn't expect someone, but like you said, it is a strategy that has grown in popularity. I just feel bad for all the little kids out there who see the diving and then are well, I mean, obviously not all the kids are gonna want to do it, but there are definitely some kids who are gonna want to do it, and you can see that being impressioned upon them. But you would also believe that with VAR and everything, wouldn't you expect that these players would see themselves diving and look how stupid they are and just being well, I didn't get any of these calls going my way. I don't you think I feel damn, I look like an idiot out there. I got to stop doing this.
So to your point about that, I think that's a major key, right? For a lot of these players, they haven't played in leagues that have had VAR. Like we said a few episodes back, VAR was only instilled in the Bundesliga, Serie A, and MLS as a league standard, and in FA Cup games in England. So, for example, Neymar is literally the love of my life. I have like a very special place in my heart for Neymar. But, you know, he should be able to look back at this World Cup and like, you know, there were a couple instances where he did fall easily in the box, and the VAR did overturn it because it was a soft call. So I think that with VAR, it should help stamp out the kind of crazy blatant dives in the box and these kind of crazy awful moments. But like you said, it's been so entrenched in the game for so long, and honestly, Neymar's not the only one who does it. So all these people sitting on their high horse in the media talking about how Neymar's ruining the sport single-handedly, that's bullshit. Right. Every player on every team dives to give his player or dives or goes down on easy contact when his team needs it. You know what I mean? Right. Oh, you look at literally any team, if they are up a goal in the World Cup with about 5 minutes left, the slightest contact is going to take them down. Right. And yeah, it's a foul, but the guy went down real easy. Had he stood up, it wouldn't have been a foul. Right. You know what I mean? So you can sit here and say that, like, you know, Neymar could be ruining it with his like blatant dives. Sure, I can see that. I dislike it as well. But I think that I think the real question shouldn't be whether is it part of the game or not. I think the question really should be, whose job is it to kind of fix it? Is it we kind of tell every player not to do it? Because that's not going to work. A player is going to always try and get an unfair advantage for his team, or a fair whatever. He's always going to try and get an advantage for his team. You know what I mean? So it has to come down to the refereeing, in my opinion. I think that if a player goes down really easy on contact, it's got to be, you know, the ref's discretion to either call it not a foul, call it a foul, yellow card the players. And I think it really should come down to the refs to be able to just have more power over that instance. Of course, with VAR, this is giving refs a little bit more, I want to say tools, I guess, to really kind of examine these issues. So especially in the example of the World Cup, where it's like, you know, the ref at one point had called a penalty for Neymar against Serbia, I believe, and then goes back and checks the VAR. It's not a penalty. And so he overturns it, of course. And like, I think that over time, if we have refs who really kind of take a better approach at diving in the theatrics along with VAR, it will eventually start to like smoothen that out in a way. Especially because everything in life is like an incentive, right? If you think that you're going to be able to get away with something, you're going to do it to get an advantage. You know what I mean? Look at Luis Suarez. He thought that by biting people, he was going to get an advantage, and he did it. Not that it makes any
like that, dude.
Yeah. And like, if you
bite anything.
And if you ask me, like, does that make any logical sense? No, biting people makes no logical sense. But he thought it was going to give him, he thought it was going to give himself and his team an advantage, so he did it. And so I think that as long as the rules allow for it, players are going to do it.
Yeah. I think it's funny, too. A lot of people like to attribute diving to a culture, which I find ridiculous because so a lot of people like to say, oh, South Americans like to dive a lot. But then if you go into England, it's like, oh, Ashley Young likes to dive a lot. But is Ashley Young South American? Or, you know what I mean? It's like an attribution that people say, like, oh, Brazilians will dive a lot. And sure, but I think that's just like, it's one of those coincidence type of things where you're like, you're watching a game and you see a Brazilian diver, you're like, oh, these Brazilians dive a lot. And that's not me protecting Brazilians. I think that South Americans, sure, they may dive extra, but I haven't seen data to prove that.
Show me the data
before you make
those accusations.
But like, I think it's just it's a general issue with the sport. The whole blaming it on a culture type thing, I think, is a little off. But I don't know.
Yeah, I just like that idea of it blaming it on like a culture or blaming it on a very specific group of players, because it's bullshit to sit here and say that it's just one culture, it's only one team, it's only this. You know, you're gonna have it happens in every league across the world in every single game. Right. You gotta just train your refs better. Like there's literally like you don't want a player diving to get a PK. Train your ref better to be able to see that better. Instill different things to be able to see it better. Like it's, I don't know. It's hard.
Or even let it come down. I mean, not to say that all coaches would do it, but coaching style, you could always really hammer out the fucking kids who dive, and even if there's like a known diver on the team, just like, yo, dude, I'll take you straight out of this fucking game if you dive. Absolutely,
because that's something that you have to consider as well. Like, Brazil's coach Chichi, right, knows the way Neymar plays, knows that he's going to try to game fouls. He comes out and says, I'm going to let him play the way he plays. So there's a miscommunication between what the fans want and then what the coaches want. Right?
Exactly.
So if the coach is saying something but the fans want a different thing, what is right and what is wrong, right? Because the coach is there at the level, and he understands that this might get us something good. Maybe not. Maybe it gets Neymar a card, whatever it may be. But there has to be this. I agree with that, because if the coach has that moral standpoint, and he's like, Ashley Young, I don't want you to dive anymore. Dele Alli, stop diving. That's bullshit.
Yeah.
Like, we don't want to see that anymore. I'm sure the players would do that because that's an order from their immediate leader, right?
Their leader.
I think that for the fans, it's frustrating, especially, and I'll admit that I didn't like seeing Neymar do that whole shit especially when Brazil's losing or not necessarily winning in games, not imposing, because to me it feels like you're wasting a little more energy with that than you should be just focusing on the game.
Yeah.
But as a fan, I'm a fan and I'm emotional, so I don't necessarily. There are so many hidden little nuances to actually being an athlete and playing a sport at such a high level that only athletes can understand.
True.
That fans will never get to experience. That maybe, I don't know, and I obviously have no experience with this, but maybe that just is something that players really think they can get away with.
Yeah.
And it just might not change because that's the culture of the professional soccer player right now. So, I don't know.
Well, my question is, if you have a player like Neymar, who is a once-in-a-generation talent, and that's part of his game, are you really going to try and, like, stamp it out? Or is it your job as a coach to stamp it out, or is it the ref's job? Because as a coach, you want to win. And maybe you're not as moral as some people are, whatever that may mean.
Right.
And maybe you just want them to play their game. And if that's part of their game, are you going to try and, like, kind of take away from their game yourself? But if the ref's allowing it, you let it go, right?
Right. Well, it depends. I think it depends on if the coach think that there's value to that. The same way that you would try to shape a player to use their left foot more in certain situations, right foot more in a certain situation, you might also be like, hey, stop trying to get so many fouls. Like, okay, Neymar might have exaggerated, or whoever it may be. We keep using Neymar as the kid, but I'm keep because people will understand.
Yeah, that's
it more.
what's popular right now.
If Neymar is diving for fouls and it's happening way too much, and I'm the coach and I'm saying, okay, Neymar, I understand that this is who you are, but it's not helping us. It might be hindering us a little bit. I want you to tone it down on that. Try to make the play. Try to do what you can. You don't need to bait every single foul. Because at some point, these things do hinder the team, right? It's a distraction from what's actually happening on the pitch.
Yeah, and then other players can start getting frustrated with it.
Right,
like,
and sometimes it could even hinder the team, whereas I'm not going to hit Neymar, but I'm going to hit William, or I'm going to hit Coutinho, or I'm going to hit whoever it may be, because that guy's going to dive, but the rest of these guys are going to pay for it, right? So there is a point where if it is, and this is on the coach, this is the coach's decision. If the coach feels like this is not helping the team out, yeah, tell him to tone it down. I think that for sure that's, and I think Chichi could have done that, honestly. With Neymar, because I think it was a little over the top, and I'm with Louis. I believe Neymar is the king. I mean, he's the guy that I believe that's going to bring Brazil a lot of success. But
then do you think that if a coach like that were to try and confront him, a guy like Neymar, being of his status, wouldn't he just be like, yo, dude, yeah, screw you?
So I think that maybe prior to the loss of this World Cup, maybe, and I hope that losing this World Cup kind of wakes him up, because prior to, I ended up just changing my mind on this, and I think that if it is hindering the team, it needs to be stamped out from the coach's side and not from the ref side, because if the ref's not taking it into consideration for your team, the coach should kind of stamp it out. But I think that with Neymar, I hope that this is kind of eye-opening for him. Because, like I said, I think with technology and VAR most likely going to be implemented in all leagues across the world now. Because, to be honest, I think it's done pretty successfully in the World Cup. I see that this is going to be implemented across the world. I think that it's going to limit his chances of being able to, I guess, dive and try to get an unfair advantage on any kind of play. So I hope that from now on, a coach can look at Neymar, despite his massive price tag, despite all of his potential, and be like, dude, you're taking away from the team when you do these things.
And just to answer your question, like, do I think a coach should say that? Absolutely. I don't care, like, the stature of the player, because a coach's job at the end of the day is to help a player improve, because a player, and this is just with anything in general, you have your perception of yourself isn't 100%. ever, right?
Yeah.
We think that we are more than we actually are. So I would hope that Neymar being, I mean, yes, he's a superstar and he can come off as kind of a diva, quote unquote, but he is a guy that's understands that coaches are there to help and there to learn, or they're there to teach. So I would hope that he would, if a coach came up to him and said, "Hey Neymar, tone this down a little bit," he would do so. So I don't know. That's just me kind of sticking up for him, but I think that he's a professional player. He understands that he's not the coach, and these guys are paid to kind of give them insight on their game.
So I want to kind of switch up the combo just a little bit, but not straight too far. Basically, what I want to bring up is it's not necessarily diving, but it's like going down easily on a challenge, right? Because with Neymar, he has speed, he has trickery, and he is just not as big as most players. And he's not the only one. There have been several wingers and other speedy type of players who do something similar. A lot of people get mad at these kind of players for exaggerating contact, but if the contact's there, it's still a foul.
Right.
So that's I think is where Neymar actually got punished for this in the World Cup because of his reputation. There were a lot of times when Neymar got hit, there was contact, but because he exaggerated, he didn't get the call.
Right.
But on the opposite side is that if you're fast, tricky, and quick like that, he says that he kind of goes down easy to avoid heavy contact because, soccer, like B said, is a contact sport and you're running at 1,000,000 miles an hour, basically. Anything can really fuck you up.
Yeah.
So it's like, where do you stand on kind of like going down easy on a challenge or like avoiding a challenge? Or is that different at all? Sorry to interrupt. It's like, is that different at all from like diving or is it something separate?
I think it's baloney too. I mean, I remember always being taught like, yo, 50-50 ball, you go 100% into that shit like all the time. And then you see guys just like go down easily or just like even though there was, like you see in the replay, there was totally ball contact and it was like a residual thing. Like odds are like your adrenaline you're playing right there, it probably didn't hinder you from getting back up and playing the ball. Because I can't even imagine how many lost opportunities in some aspects that like players go down easy and like there is 100% an opportunity that like, or even when it does happen, you see them spring back up, and it's just like, why would you even waste your own time? I feel like they're wasting their time staying on the ground like that.
But and I want people to know, like, what positions did you play most of the time? No, and I'm not saying this because this makes a difference, right? If you're playing, I'd say playing with you, goalie and or
center back,
you're the guy that I'm running into.
True.
So you have a stationary position most of the times, or you can come in and you can cut across me, right? Do whatever it may be. I was the guy playing on the wing, doing the running full speed,
yeah.
and I admitted that I wasn't a guy that really fell. I was never into the gaming trying to get fouls, but there is a difference, right? Because if I'm running full speed at someone that's kind of stationary, can stick their leg out, it does. I mean, even right now, if you're running full speed and if I nudge you, you're gonna not fall over necessarily, but you're gonna be thrown off your path, and then you're adding the factor that there's a soccer ball there. There's a whole mix of things happening. If I actually stick my leg in between your legs and you're running at speed, I'm sure that would kind of trip you as well. So it's weird because I'm in agreement with the fact that the contact if it's a foul, it's a foul regardless of the theatrics or not. I think that the theatrics is just, again, it's part of the gaming and trying to maybe not just get a foul, but also get a yellow card. Do I see that as diving? Not necessarily. I see that as almost theater, honestly. It's just like a totally different element of the game that, and I will say this when I'm not talking about culture things, but, I was saying that it's not a culture-specific thing, diving, but the American culture frowns upon the diving, but I will say that South American cultures do not frown upon exaggerating a foul if it is gonna get a person a card, or
also maybe not at that moment, but it'll impact the ref's decision later on potentially.
Right. So that I think that there is some culture stuff, and this might be different in every single culture, but I from experience have seen that from American coaches and stuff like that, it's like, dude, just play the game. If it's a foul and it's a legitimate foul, it's obvious. But from other coaches, maybe Brazilian coaches that I've had before, it's like, okay, yeah, you got fouled, sure, but throw in a little extra there just to make sure that the ref knows what's going on, right? So there's a whole, again, it's these little subcultures that are happening in the pitch that we may not totally understand at the professional level.
Fair point. And I will even attest to that and say, granted, we played in a men's league game, but there was a game that even I was playing up front, and I went for a ball with some kid, a 50-50 ball, and he went 100%, and me knowing it was a men's league game maybe went in 30%.
Right.
And my ankle just bruised up bigger than I could imagine. I was out for like 3 months, and that makes me think like, well, why the fuck did you just go in like we were playing in? I guess the environment has to be,
and it's totally, and that's a great point as well, because like it's almost positionally important as well, because you don't want your defender diving.
No,
you don't want your defender selling a foul. True. Because you want him, if he gets to hit, get right the fuck back up and chase after the ball if nothing was called. So it's definitely like you want the guys up top that are going to be causing havoc to cause the havoc, do what they need to do. But you don't want your defenders doing that.
That's true.
So I don't know.
Maybe it's just like a positionally thing in your mind. It's like, well, I know that if I do go down and where we are could benefit us, or the ref sees it and he will maybe give us something down the road. But as a defender, it's like, nah, you hit it, you miss. You probably miss a tackle or something, and you got to get up as fast as you can.
Well, actually, I wanna turn that on its head, because one specific example within the actual game that I see a defender being able to exaggerate contact is if a defender's trying to shield the ball so that the goalie will get a goal kick, right? He's shielding the ball. The player's right behind him on his back. The forward player nudges him the smallest amount.
And they fall.
Player goes down.
Or does the leg in between his legs type of thing.
And then he falls. Yeah. So that's still kind of tying into everything that we already talked about. It's does the exaggerating of contact kind of ruin the sport or not? Personally, in my opinion, a foul is a foul. If you foul a player, regardless of whether or not like they're diving, rolling around on the floor, if it's a foul, it's a foul. The person can exaggerate however he wants. Like that's why the ref is allowed to add more time at the end of each half, and it's the ref's discretion to do as he sees fit. But to bring it back, should that be stamped out? Should that theatrical rolling around, exaggerating of contact be stamped out or not? Or is there a way to do it?
It's tough, I think, because right now it's a lot. It's in the sport right now has a lot of it's up to interpretation type of situations where it'll be up to the interpretation of the referee to decide if this guy is injured or not. Right? If he's not injured, are you going to say, okay, so you were faking it and you're going to get a card? I see that hard. That I mean, everyone on the pitch is going to get a card, right? Because at some point or another, someone gets hurt, they're down. Were you faking it, or were you just catching your breath? What's the situation there?
Yeah, then that makes the ref seem like a fucking doctor.
Right. There's just too many things that have to go there, and then if the consequence, if the stamping out portion of that is to if you think that he's faking it to give a card, a lot of people are going to be getting cards, honestly, and that and maybe that initial shift will be really bad for the sport because there will be a lot of cards, but people will pick up on it. But just from initially thinking of it, I think it's too much of a 50-50 like decision type of thing that would just cause more headaches for referees and put way more pressure on them to make calls and such and such. So I don't think it will be stamped out, to be honest.
Yeah, like you said, I think that if you were to be giving a card every time a player exaggerated contact for at least the first 2 years, everyone's gonna be sent off.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
So many players on the bench, dude.
Yes. You're gonna be playing games of like 3-on-3.
The games will just be played to who gets cut off at where you have to have a minimum amount of players left, and then that's how you win games. Because it'll just be ridiculous.
Yeah, but then again, someone might argue that do that because afterwards, after that initial shock. Yeah. Hopefully something will have changed.
Yeah, the extremists.
Yeah. No, so I want to bring this back to kind of the fan and culturally. Do you think that a person or a player that is notorious for diving that ruins his or her reputation? And like from a fan's perspective, do you care?
So this is funny because I know we kind of wanted to move away from Neymar, but Alexi Lalas yesterday during right before the Brazil-Belgium game, he was talking about how he doesn't really see a problem with Neymar's diving necessarily because he is of such high quality and that's part of his game, right? And historically, it comes into question of a player's morality, right? You've had players, especially in Brazil, like, for example, Romário. He played for Barcelona, was the best player in the world, won the 1994 World Cup. he was kind of a shitty person. He, was always all about going out and drinking and partying and wasn't exactly necessarily the most moral person. I shouldn't say he's a shitty person. I'm sorry if, you're listening. I love you. My bad. But, like, a lot of people would question his character. They would question his morality. But you know what ends up happening? He wins a lot of titles. People don't care. If you win, no one cares, really. Yeah. They care at the moment, but after the fact, no one cares. Yeah. People still think glowingly about Romário. People still think glowingly about all of these phenomenal, famous soccer players. But a lot of them...
Diego Maradona.
Diego Maradona.
People still fucking, like, idolize that guy, and he's not the cream of the crop when it comes to moral
Or even
standards.
Luis Suarez, dude. Like, even, like, he's recent dudes... Like known biter and like still like
he's a known biter and a racist, yet he still has fans all across the world.
Yeah. Right. And you still have announcers like up and the great Luis Suarez playing.
Yeah, and sorry for interrupting, but I agree. I just throwing out these more.
Oh no, that was perfectly fine. I just think like these are all very valid points into a situation of like at the time, it does impact the player, but at the same time, if the player's winning, the player's doing putting an output on the pitch, it matters. Because if it was little, I don't know, whatever, I'm going to make up a player like Steve Jones who plays for Millwall or whatever. If he's diving but he's a bad player, no one gives a shit. Yeah. They're just going to be like, all right, bro, get out. You're bye-bye. Right. Like, it's only an issue if you're good. And it's like you almost get a leeway when you're an athlete and you're dominant in your sport to kind of be whatever you want. Yeah. And, like, I find it a little funny in that, like, Neymar's getting criticized for his diving versus you've had players all across the world who have done such terrible, terrible things and they're not getting spoken about this much. You know what I mean?
Right. They don't get the media coverage.
It just seems like people are looking like they want to latch onto something, and this seems to be the story. Yeah. And so, I don't know. It's one of those things that it's such a crazy topic to think about.
Do you personally care about players diving?
Do I personally care about players diving?
If you're watching a game and you see a player dive.
No, I don't give a shit. I really don't. Personally, I think it's up to the ref. If of course, if it's someone dives against whatever team I'm rooting for, I'm gonna be pissed. But I always bring it back to it's on the ref's hands. Yeah. It's in the ref's hands, right? Especially today when now there will be introducing VAR pretty much, hopefully soon across the board. It will be in the ref's hands to take care of it. And it's hard because it seems like all the media attention surrounding a lot of these players ends up impacting the referee. And it's not like you can't have that happen because referees, in today's world, we're always connected via our phones, via the internet, and refs are people. So they do read these things. And it does kind of help their judgment. It's a matter of kind of training your referees to be literally as impartial as humanly possible and to really know what steps to take to be able to analyze it.
Right. And to not take bribes.
But overall, I think I don't know. I don't like the diving, like the blatant, like no one touched me, I'm going down in the box. I hate that, of course. But it's been pretty much part of the game. Yeah. I think sure, if you could wipe out diving with VAR, go ahead. Yeah. But the over exaggeration on contact, I don't see that as a problem because if it's a foul, it's a foul. Yeah.
And I'm going to shift now a little bit away from our ranting about diving, whether we like it or not, and to kind of get your opinions on post the Neymar rolling incident. And if you haven't seen it, go on YouTube and search Neymar rolling. What game was that? Like first game against...
First or second game? Was it Costa Rica or Switzerland?
Search Neymar rolling against Switzerland or Costa Rica. You'll probably find out. So many memes have come out.
That's what I was going to say.
So many... Not even memes, like commercials. Like there was a commercial in South Africa, KFC came out, and they started making a play on the Neymar rolling meme. This guy gets fouled and starts rolling all the way it rolls out of the stadium, on the streets, into a KFC, and it's like, learn how to make a meal of it, I think was the slogan. it was really good.
That's kind of genius.
So honestly, when I'm talking about culture and the importance that the sport has on culture, like so many wonderful culturally relevant moments that have come out of these diving incidents in this World Cup so far.
Yeah, I've seen my favorite two. Sorry to interject, bro. My favorite two have to be the one where he falls and he rolls and it ends up going down like the highway, and then the other one is just a classic Wii bowling. And it's just he rolls and gets a strike. It's crazy that the culture that is like creating those memes and everything finds Neymar so relevant. So it's as bad as a thing as it is. It's like, well, you just got soccer to someone who probably never even thinks about soccer on a daily basis. Thanks, Neymar.
One of my favorites was someone took Neymar rolling and they added that run that Kylian Mbappe had against Argentina where he picks up the ball, but they replaced the ball with Neymar rolling, and it's like Mbappe's kicking Neymar the whole way down the field, and I thought it was so funny. And like I think it's really, this is one of those things that it's like the internet's undefeated. We can all sit here and know that the internet's undefeated, and knowing that this moment of like, we're sitting here talking about it super seriously about diving this and that, but the fact that it was able to impact people culturally and I'll be able to share a laugh about it, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's great. And that you bringing up the point, Brendan, that it's reached people who don't necessarily watch soccer. Like my girlfriend sending me memes of Neymar and just diving stuff, like sending me so many. And I'm just like, yeah, this is awesome. Like you're somewhat involved in that's a person who's like not obviously as involved in the sport as I am, so it's cool to see it reach people, and like her family, her brothers are sending stuff, so it's just really cool. Then it like super funny to be getting,
and it's even reached. I mean, I play freaking Pokemon Go, and there was a thread on
the
Reddit.
Only person left.
It's like Brendan and like 2 dudes.
Dude,
that's it.
It's a pretty big community. But on one of the threads on Reddit was it was a photoshopped version of Magikarp, a Pokemon you catch in the game, and it's of Neymar's face, like falling. And it's just like, dang, it's like you guys get it.
Yeah, it's reached like the extremities of just different cultures.
The far reaches of the interwebs.
Yeah.
But I think one interesting question is like, should this impact your individual perception of a player? Like, do you care if your favorite player is known as like a exaggerator as a diver? Does it matter?
Absolutely not.
Not a second.
Absolutely
I hate diving.
If
he was mad good, but like, hey,
there's no way because you
player.
didn't hate like Luis Suarez or any of these motherfuckers. No, absolutely not. Like Ashley Young, who else for Manchester United is like considered a diver? I guess really just him. I don't give a shit if he dives for Brazil. Neymar, fucking dive away, dude. I don't give a shit. Like, but it's one of those things. It's one of those things that always comes up on the show is fans are super fickle. Because then if the other guy on the other team is diving, I'm yelling at my TV. I'm fucking saying VAR, check this shit, do whatever you need to do.
Yeah, come on, where's the box? Where's the box?
Yeah,
sure.
Love the little box thing. Now I love that. Yeah, so it's just like it's a fickle fan type of thing. Where like,
for sure,
I don't care if it's my team. Call him a diver all you want. If he's gonna get me what I want him to get me, then fuck it. I don't care.
Well, on the episode of the Trebl Top 10, which is another show that we do on YouTube, shameless plug.
Subscribe.
Our last episode from last week, I talk about how if Neymar wins the World Cup, he could go become an Olympic diver after this. And like, in all honesty, like I don't care. Yeah. Dive. If you win, if you're good, if you can win, Ballon d'Or, if you win a World Cup, I don't care what you do to get there.
And I don't think this is particularly just for soccer too. Like think about in basketball, flopping has become that's the diving of basketball, right?
It's a massive issue.
Ask a Cleveland a Cavaliers fan if they give a fuck that LeBron flops all the time. There's 6'6" whatever 270 fucking something.
Hey, maybe we should rephrase the question of incoming Lakers fans. Do you care about LeBron?
Yeah, right. So I think it's just a fickle fan thing. Like you're gonna obviously hate on the guy if he's not on your team, but if he's on your team, you don't
he's on your side. Who
cares?
Yeah, but I think final thoughts on this are basically like it shouldn't be it's a media talking point, of course. Like everybody can sit here and debate it, but at the end of the day,
media talking point and all the old heads, like old people that are just like Neymar's a diver. I don't want him playing for Brazil. Fuck you, man. Like,
fuck you, man.
It's the same thing as looking at basketball and being like, LeBron's the worst thing that ever happened to basketball. His flopping is shut up.
Yeah.
But I think it's a media talking point. Of course, people are always going to debate it, but if it's supposed to be stamped out, then have the people who are in power do it, right? And you know what though? Like, I think that's kind of it. I don't know how much else we could talk about because it's like, if it's for your team, awesome. If it's against your team, you're gonna hate it. Yeah. So if that divisive nature of it is there, I think that's kind of the issue. And so, if that is the main issue, then stamp it out. Yeah. Do it with the new technology.
Yeah, and I mean, if you are if you're on a higher level of morals than us, let us know. Shoot us an email. But like, I'm sure most of the time, if you have a player that is diving, you're really not going to care. So, I guess that's our 2 cents on it.
Yeah, I think it's a good place to end it. Unless you guys have some final thoughts.
No,
don't dive. Come on.
Don't dive unless you play for Liverpool.
Yeah, no, not even that. We don't dive much. We're physical. And that'll do it from our end. Another great episode in the books. Diving, I hate it. What do you guys think? Agree with me. I'll send you a pack of soccer cards I got from 1990. Seriously though, if you do agree with me and you made it this far, I really will send you a pack. It's 1990, 1991 FA soccer pack, unopened. It's all yours. But seriously, DM us at the Culture FC Instagram and we'll send you a pack without question. We always appreciate our listeners listening all the way through. And we'll see you guys next week. Thanks for stopping by my house.